Well, welcome everybody to our virtual meeting tonight. Everybody's joining us on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome, and I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask the clerk for the roll call, please. There's Jesse coming in. So,
good evening, Your Worship. All members are present.
Thank you very much. Item number 3 is a review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Is there anything else we need to add or delete from the agenda at this point?
Yes, Your Worship, if I could just perhaps by way of question and procedure, new business item A, support for the town of Kingsville. On reading that, I was the one that asked that that be brought back. I don't have an issue dealing with it as it is, if you wish. Just considering under the state of emergency that we're in now, is this the proper time to do it? Or should we be bringing it back later on? And I'm good either way. I would just, or we can leave it go till we get there and decide. It's just curious.
I mean, we can support the small business to open back up again once the lockdown's finished there, so we can probably leave it the way it is. So.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other revisions or deletions? If not, item number 4 is the approval of the agenda. I've got a motion moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Ferrier. Be resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Anybody opposed to that motion? Seeing nothing or hearing nothing. Item number 5 is disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature. Is the clerk, can any conflict of interest notify us?
Your Worship, Councillor Ferrier declared a conflict of pecuniary interest related to item 19, closed session, item C, under section 239, subsection 2K of the Municipal Act. Consideration will be given to a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations regarding the new Liskeard Marina, as the Sun is engaged in discussions with the City of Temiskaming Shores regarding the facility.
Good. Okay. Jesse still have a conflict there as well? Or is he good to go? I don't need anything.
I think it was just for its best staff update, and so I didn't declare conflict with it.
No, there's nothing to do with your family at this point. So, okay, well, we'll move on to anything. Anybody else want to make a notify us of any conflict of interest at this point? If not, we'll jump ahead to item number 6, the review and adoption of the council minutes. I got a motion moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Hewitt. Be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of council that was held on January the 5th, 2021. So, anybody opposed to that motion? Hearing none, we'll consider that motion carried. Item number 7 is there's no public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, or other statutes. So we've gone to the first question and answer period. Is there anything on the chat line at all, Shelley, on that at this point?
Nothing so far, Mayor Kidd.
Okay, thank you. Item number 9 is presentations, and we have none tonight. We'll jump right into the communications. 10A is a letter from Resource Productivity and Recovery Authority regarding the inspection related to the wind-up of the waste electric and electric equipment, WEEE program that was received on December the 9th for information. 10B is a letter of the Honorable Sylvia Jones, the Solicitor General, regarding the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan updated. The deadline is going to now be July 1st, 2021, and that's received for information received on December the 24th. 10C is a letter from Jason Bopera, the Director for the Minister of Transportation, regarding the province expanded on the on-road opportunities for off-road vehicle riders in some parts of Ontario. It's a letter and guidance document that received on January 4th, and that's been referred to our Protection of Personal Property Committee. 10D is a letter from the Honorable Greg Rickford, the Minister of Energy, Northern Development and Mines, and the Honorable Bill Walker, the Associate Minister of Energy. And it's regarding the revoked Ontario legislation, regulation 355/17, being the removal of the requirement to release a new long-term energy plan every 3 years. That was received on January the 5th for information.
I just had because I got to work on him.
10E is a letter from Dan Tebow, the Clerk Treasurer for CEO from the municipality of Charlton Dak, regarding support for the municipal insurance review, and that was received on January the 7th for information. 10F is a letter from the Honorable Ernie Hardman, the Minister of Agricultural, Food and Rural Affairs, regarding the response related to the tile loan program. It should be so received on January the 13th for information. 10G is a letter from Genevieve Sharbach, the Director of Administration and Clerk for the Municipality of West Gray, regarding Schedule 8 of the Provincial Budget, Bill 229, protect, support, recover from the COVID-19 Act, and that's received on January the 13th for information. And finally, the letter from Honorable Carolyn Marooney, the Minister of Transportation, regarding the launch of the 2020-2021 gas tax program. And that's received on January the 14th and referred to the Trustee Transit Committee. So I've got a motion moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Whalen. Be it resolved that the City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10H according to the agenda references, unless we want to change some here. So anybody got any comments on the correspondence?
I
Danny?
have item B and E if I can. First one is item B. I'm just wondering, with the cancellation of police service board meetings and that, where do we stand a chance of having this done by then? I'm not sure if I'm talking to Chris or to Councillor Jelly here, but it's still a short timeline.
Yeah, if I can, I had my mic on also, Danny, to speak to that, if I can.
Okay.
That is on our agenda tomorrow evening for DSAB. As you're aware, DSAB were asked to be tasked to do that along with the health unit and other people. That's on for action tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll get moving forward with this. I can tell you we've only heard from 16 of the 23 municipalities, but we need to move on and get this done, and we'll deal with the municipalities that haven't got a hold of this as we go along. So I will have it on tomorrow night, and I can get back to you with a follow-up.
Good, thanks very much for that. The only other one is item E regarding support for municipal insurance review. I think our own council has passed a resolution on this as well, and it has been taken to the province. So I'm anxious to see during the Roma conference how many delegations they get on that issue, and we can keep some steam behind it, hopefully. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Just on the community safety and well-being plan, I think DSAB's planning, if they get this approved, to actually hire a staff person to go in and do the report here in the next 4 or 5 months. Hopefully get that done. And maybe not recreate the wheel, but just take some other samples that we're getting from the other cities and townships and just make it adaptable to all our townships and cities and towns as well. So
That's correct, Your Worship. That is the intent. And then we'll liaise with the other health unit, school boards and what have you to make sure we're current and what have you. But terms of reference will be set up and everything. We'll get it rolling, I'm sure, as quick as we can.
And the billing would actually go out to all the municipalities in the district there. So
the billing will go out. That's correct. Using the formula we use it now, the bill will be divided. We don't know how to deal with the townships that haven't got back to us yet, but I strongly suspect they will be on board. It's going to be the least expensive way to go.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's notified now. They got until July 1st. So
that's correct.
Thank you, Doug. So, any other comments on the correspondence?
Your Worship, just on item H, the treasurer did receive the agreement today for the provincial gas tax, so that will be on the February 2nd agenda to pass that bylaw to enter into that funding agreement. A slight increase, almost $3,000 over last year. Just on the community safety and well-being plan as well, I have had some discussions with Kelly Black as well on it. And just a question for Councillor Whalen, something that Kelly was wondering. I had advised her that the TMA wasn't meeting, so to get the other 5 or 6 municipalities on side, she was wondering if there could be an update at a TMA, or if even the TMA executive was meeting anytime in the near future. But do you know if the executive's even meeting right now?
To the best of my knowledge right now, nobody is meeting at all. If there is an executive meeting, it would of course be held on Zoom, but I can look into that for you and get back to you tomorrow.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan. Any other comments on the correspondence? If not, we have a motion Moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Whalen, be it resolved the City Council agrees to deal with the communication items 10A through 10H according to the agenda references. Anybody opposed to that motion? If not, I'll consider that carried. Moving on to item number 11, the committees of council, community and regional. A motion moved by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Hewitt. Be resolved the following minutes be accepted for information. A is the minutes of the Temiskaming Shores Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting held on December the 9th, 2020. And that's the only community and regional report there. So any comments on that set of minutes? Anybody opposed to that motion?
Hi, Carmen, it's Tricia. In
Yeah,
regards to comments for the Accessibility Committee, I'm listed as with Canadian National Institute of the Blind. It's actually ABI, Marcha Dimes.
Yeah, you were in attendance of the last meeting there, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll make that correction, so, or addition, whatever, so. Any other comments? Anybody opposed to that motion? We'll consider that motion carried there. Item number 12 is the committees of council, the internal departments. I got a motion moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor LaFerrier. Be resolved the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the building maintenance committee meeting held on December the 2nd, 2020. B is the minutes of the corporate services meeting held on December the 2nd, 2020 as well. And also the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting also held on December the 2nd, 2020. And again, another meeting on December the 16th, 2020. So, and lastly, the minutes of the Recreation Committee meeting held on December the 14th, 2020. So any comments on those 5 sets of minutes? Anybody opposed to that motion? I'll consider that motion carried as well. We have reports by members of council tonight. Anybody got any reports?
If I may, Mayor Kidd,
Yes, go ahead, Councilor Brennan.
I attended a virtual symposium with Northern Policy Institute today regarding circular economy. I'm not sure if any of our economic development corporation council members attended or not, but it had to do with, as I mentioned, circular economy, which is basically green economy and recycling. Very interesting as far as our perspective in our geographical location, because a large part of any green economy will involve both forestry and mining. So as the speakers were on, you actually saw your own municipality being involved. So it was a really good session. Lots of good input. Unfortunately, it ran over on time and I didn't get to stick around for the question and answer period, but there was a lot of good information in it. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other reports?
Yes, if I could, again, your worship, we're back to what Councillor Whalen said about the police service board meeting. We did cancel a meeting that we had scheduled for Monday of this week. We've tentatively rescheduled it for February 16th. And hopefully then we can make sure everybody can do it virtually and we can have a meeting. And the only other information or report I'd like to give to council is on a little kind of a sad note. Joe Janak, who was a police officer in the Liskeard for 26 years, passed away on January 8th. Joe had moved to Nova Scotia and had been living down there, I believe, for the last 16 years. Ironically, I spoke to him 2 days before he passed away, and his health has been excellent. He had no issues at all with his health, and he did pass away in his sleep. He was in his 85th year, so our thoughts certainly go out to his family at a time like this, and he will be missed.
Served the community for a long period of time there, so.
He did a lot of work in our schools with our young people.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, sir. I did have a teleconference with the Premier last week with all 444 municipalities there, and they basically outlined what the disbursement of the vaccines was going to be handled like now it seems to, since that teleconference, everything seems to have gone awry where they've had some delays in getting the vaccine. So all the information they passed on to us is probably not relevant anymore, but they're still hoping to get all the long-term care homes vaccinated and the staff there before February 15th, but that may be delayed a week or two now. So any other reports by council?
Your worship,
Yes.
Your worship, I just, one item I just wanted to discuss is the impact that COVID is having on our small business community. And, I did forward an email to yourself and to Chris, just with a few suggestions on, what we should be looking at to really support our small business. I think that, it's, Councillor Jelly made a comment earlier about, supporting a motion, that's coming. It's really focusing on, what the province and really what the federal government is doing to support. But from a municipal perspective, I think we really need, to look inside and see, from a creative perspective, what we can do to really support them. We don't know how long this extended closure is going to happen, but I can tell you that, if it does last much longer, that we are going to see, a lot of small businesses perhaps close. And that's going to put more of a burden on the rest of the ratepayers that are left. So, I just wanted to let everybody know that, there are some things that we're going to be looking at and hopefully be able to support, our small businesses in the near future.
Yeah, Chris and I have had a couple of chats on that. He's looking in, getting some more background information. Now, a couple of the statements that the Premier has mentioned in the last couple of weeks, saying that they are covering all the business taxes, water and sewer, and all that, and rent and everything else. They're covering 100%. I'm not clear just on whether there is actually enough programs out there that are actually covering that 100% to the small business people. And maybe you could help me on that as well, Jack. But I know Chris. Maybe.
If that's something that the Premier is sharing, the Premier is in his own world because clearly. Looking at the math and I deal with it on a day-to-day basis, with my other hat on, and clearly we are seeing some huge struggles. Absolutely, there's some programs out there that some folks can draw on, not all, and clearly, paying the bills is critical for a number of the small businesses. And so absolutely not. The federal and provincial programs are not covering anywhere near 100% of anything.
No, that's what I thought. But I just heard Premier Ford mention that last week there, and I wanted to dig into it a little bit more and find out for sure. But I know Chris has got, maybe give us a little report on what his findings have been as well, especially like in regard to the diamond water supply and water and sewer charges. Chris?
A couple of things to report on. So I believe Kelly has sent out meeting requests today for corporate services meeting. So that's one of the items, one of the main items that I think that we're preparing to have some discussion with corporate services on, and hopefully bring back some recommendations to council, if not at the February 2nd meeting, for sure at the February 16th meeting. I am still trying to get some information on, as you mentioned, Mayor Kidd, back in November, there was actually a press release from the province on optional tax tools that municipalities could use as well. To date, I have not been able to get any clarification on what those actually are. The province is still silent on that. So, but continuing to try and get that information so we can also have some discussion on that as well prior to setting our 2021 tax rates. So there will be a couple of things that in the next week and a half that we'll be able to have some discussion at the corporate services level.
Okay, I know that one letter we got from Mr. Clark, I believe it was, just because that one little statement in there saying that they were putting in some kind of option that you could actually, the cities could actually reduce down their taxes, and then the province would match those kind of tax reduction sort of thing. But I haven't seen anything in writing since that letter.
No, and there's no details that I've been able to ascertain at this point in time. But hopefully by the time we meet at the corporate services, I'll have a little more clarity on that.
Okay.
As well as some strategies the city itself may want to look at.
Okay. Any other reports by members of council? Are there any no's or motions tonight? Hearing none, we'll go into the new business. 15A is looking for support from the town of Kingsville, request to support small businesses. This is one that Doug was talking about a few minutes ago there. The draft resolution moved by Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor Whalen, reads, whereas at its meeting on December the 14th, 2020, the town of Kingsville Council approved a resolution in support of small businesses during COVID-19. And whereas the health and safety of Ontarians is the #1 priority, and health is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease. And whereas many businesses rely on the holiday season for their financial strength, and whereby these businesses have faced unprecedented difficult times during 2020 due to COVID pandemic restrictions. And whereas closing our small local businesses during the holiday season means many will not survive, and business owners and their employees will lose their livelihoods. And whereas the town of Kingsville's commercial businesses are predominantly made up of small independent owned businesses, and closing them will force residents to travel out of town into larger crowds, increasing their exposure to COVID-19. And whereas our small independent businesses have every reason to keep customers safe and are able to ensure limited capacity, customer contact tracing, and disinfecting in between customers, and may be able to offer curbside pickup and delivery. Now therefore be resolved that the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby supports the town of Kingsville's call upon the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, as well as the Ontario Cabinet and health officials to protect the health of Ontarians and our small businesses by allowing them to remain open to in-store sales and services with limited capacity and increased safety measures. And further, that this resolution be forwarded to the Honorable Vic Fideli, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, the Honorable Prammeet Singh Sakaria, Associate Minister of Small Business and Red Tape Reduction, the Honorable Christine Elliott, Minister of Health, the Honorable Peter Bethan Papalvi, the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Michael Tivolo, the Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, the John Vantoff, the MPP for Temiskaming Cochrane, and the Temiskaming Health Unit Board of Directors, and the town of Kingsville. So, very. You want to speak to that motion? If not, anybody opposed to that motion?
Your worship, I wouldn't mind just saying a few things.
Yeah, go ahead.
So clearly, you know, when we look at, you know, the order right now, it has closed, you know, a lot of the small businesses. But if you look at some of the big, been through this whole time, I'm not really sure from a common sense perspective, you know, where that, you know, comes from. We talk about essential services, and yet when you go into some of those large businesses, a big part of their store has nothing to do with essential services. If you look at the parking lots where these places are full, it is encouraging, you know, folks to shop, and yet the small players, the small businesses that may have one or two folks go and support them, you know, they're closed. And so I totally support this motion. I don't believe there's been consistency. I do believe that, you know, it's, you know, focused on trying to do the right thing. It's not a level playing field. And I think that I do support this motion totally. At the same time, I don't want to underplay the critical aspect of what's happening from a health perspective. It's just, you know, it has to be consistent. So I'm in support of this motion. Thank you.
No, if the grocery portions of these large box stores were open and the pharmacy portions were open and the rest of the store was closed off, then that would make a little level of playing field there for all the small business when they do reopen again. So.
And if I can, to your worship, I agree 100% with what you have both said. And it's also, and I'm not making light or angry with this at all, but it's not fair in that we're a border town and it's not being equally represented on each side of the border. If you go to Rwanda, for example, their Walmart store is open only for groceries and medical needs. The rest of it is canvassed off. That's encouraging more people to come here and shop. We're asking our own people to stay home unless they have to shop. So it's again, I mean, we appreciate the business, and I'm not being, please don't think that I don't want people to come to our province, but it's just, if we're trying to work together to beat this, that's not working. And like Jeff said, you can go in and get whatever you want, and the store right next to it has to do curbside service for the same items that they could walk in a different store and purchase. So it's just, I think our state of emergency fell short, in my opinion. I don't think it is really doing us justice. We're very fortunate in this area, though.
Yeah, I don't think they're restricting the numbers going in as well, so you're not forgetting the physical distancing going on inside those stores as well, which is what's the main reason for leaving the big box stores open, that they could actually have lots of room to physical distance in the store, but that's not happening either. So
yeah, and I believe that became evident on the weekend in the Greater Toronto area, where they visited 200 and some stores, and I believe there's about a 30% violation rate of some part of the COVID plan. So kind of shows you that the large box stores aren't probably doing their part in helping us here.
you can't have the parking lot being full and not seeing a lineup to get in. So they're back to the maximum capacity going into some of those stores. So any other comments on this motion before we?
Yeah, I wasn't going to speak to this at all, but after hearing Jeff, I do sit on a committee with Minister Rickford for economic recharging the economy. And one of the biggest complaints is inconsistency, as Jeff mentioned, that it's just not, it doesn't make any sense. You can't walk into your small downtown store, buy a pair of slacks, but you can go up to the big box store and try them all on and buy whichever one you want. So when they speak, there has to be a stronger definition of essential.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Hearing none, we'll consider that carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 15B is memo 002-2021 CS. A change order for the Grant Municipal Drain Repair. And they got a motion moved by Councilor Hewitt, second by Councilor MacArthur. Be resolved to Council for the City of St. George acknowledge the receipt of memo 002-2021 CS. And the Council approves a contract change order of $19,940 to the contract with Pedersen Construction 2013 Incorporated for repair to the Grant Municipal Drain as authorized by bylaw 2020-128, resulting in a revised contract value of $28,380 plus applicable taxes. So, anybody opposed to that motion? I will consider that carried. Item 15C, memo 033-2021-CS, the ice fishing challenge, and this is something James has brought forward and provided the information in your package. A motion is moved by Councilor Whalen, second by Councilor Jelly. Be resolved that Council for the City of St. George acknowledge receipt of memo 003-2021 CS for information purposes. So, anybody got any comments on that? Hopefully people can get out and join that challenge.
If I could, Your Worship, James had mentioned in there that he might have an update for us tonight as far as a service club looking at doing some type of a fishing challenge. Yeah,
James should be on there if he's unused himself.
Yep. So through you, Mayor Kidd, to Councillor Jelly, yes, I did have a conversation with the Rotary Club, and they are interested in hosting an ice fishing derby of this kind. They are looking at a couple of different apps similar to the one that was sent to council. And they're going to try and decide which of those is most valuable. And we've also been reached out to by a local lure provider who's interested in partnering the club. And so it'll be an interesting scenario. I think we'll have something put together as a fundraiser for the splash pad by the end of this month.
Good, excellent.
The only thing we're gonna have to watch there, James, is the number of people fishing and out of one hut in the lake. So just bear that in mind also.
Right. Yeah. The intent of the program is that people would sort of fish on their own schedule with their own family in their ice shack, and then just post the length of their fish as to win the prize.
Perfect. I've already caught a 42-inch one. Take my word for it.
I'm not sure whether we have a jurisdiction on Lake Temiskaming or not either, so that may be another issue, but.
You only lost by a couple of inches, Doug.
So, anybody opposed to that motion? If not, we'll consider that one carried. 15D is memo 002, 2021 PW, the rate increase for recycling agreement with the outside municipalities. And we got a motion moved by Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor Foley. Be resolved that the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of memo 002, 2021 PW, and the Council approves a 2% rate increase for the acceptance of recyclable materials at the Spoke Transfer Station from $295 per ton to $301 per ton, effective January 1st, 2021. Any comments? Anybody oppose that motion? Hearing none, we'll consider that motion carried. 15E is memo 003, 2021 PW, the supply and delivery of a triaxle dump truck, release of request for quotations. And a motion moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Ferrier. Be resolved that Council of the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of memo 003, 2021 PW, and the Council authorizes staff to release the request for quotation for the supply and delivery of a triaxle dump truck vehicle with a closing date of Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Any comments? Anybody opposed to that motion? We will consider that one carried. 15F is memo 001, 2021 RS, the active transportation plan request for proposals. I got a draft motion moved by Councilor Whalen, second by Councilor Jelly. Be resolved that the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of memo 001, 2021 RS, and the Council authorizes the release of the active transportation plan request for proposals with a closing date of February 22nd, 2021. Matt's done a lot of work putting that RFP together there. So thanks, Matt. Any comments? Anybody oppose that motion? That is carried. You're good to go there, Matt. So 15G, Administrative Report RS 001, 2021, the Buck Park Operations Contract for 2021. Like a draft resolution moved by Councilor Foley, second by Councilor Whalen. Be resolved that Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report RS 001, 2021. And the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to confirm the 2021 Buck Park Operators Agreement for consideration at the January 19th, 2021 regular council meeting later on tonight. So anybody got any comments? Anybody oppose that motion?
Councillor Hewitt had her hand up, Mayor
Yeah,
Kidd.
Chris?
Councillor Hewitt had her hand up.
Oh, okay. Didn't.
Yeah, sorry about that. Didn't hit my
Enjoy your
unmute quite quick enough. Just a few quick questions. I mean, obviously, I support the Buck Park as a core natural asset to the city. Absolutely. In regards to the budget set for the operator's contract at 17,250K, I just wondered if was the 22.5 included in the expense of the 41? Like there's different figures, so I'm not sure if that was included or not.
Are you on the line there?
So basically, was the operator's payment also included in the 42K?
So the expenses that are listed in the report that I provided include the amount that we paid to our operator last year. The amount that we paid to our operator last year was slightly lower than the amount that's noted for 2021 because we had a slightly shorter season last year than we will this upcoming season.
So it was included then in that expense?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you, Matt.
Any other questions? Okay. So nobody's opposed to that motion? So consider that one carried. So that's all the new business. Going to item number 16, the bylaws. I got a motion moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Ferrier. Be resolved that bylaw 2021-007, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Sylvain Gillino for the operation of the Buck Park Campground for the 2021 operating season. Be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. So, any comments on that? Anybody opposed to that motion? We'll consider that one carried. And the second motion, the draft resolution moved by Councilor Hewitt, second by Councilor Whalen. Be resolved that bylaw 2021-007 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Any last comments? Anybody opposed to that? We'll consider that motion carried as well. So item number 17 is the schedule of council meetings. So the next one, the regular meeting, is Tuesday, February the 2nd at 6 p.m. And following that in February, there's a meeting on Tuesday, February the 16th at 6 p.m. as well. So item number 18 is the question period. Anybody got any questions in the chat line or council?
Mayor Kidd, Ida Hilston has a question regarding the lights outside on Lakeshore outside the manor. And she'd like to know what the plan is for those lights.
This is the street lights, I'm assuming?
Yeah, the crosswalk.
Oh, okay, okay. I think if Mitch is online, he can answer that as well. The intent, I think, is to possibly move that set of traffic lights down to Rourke Street and Hilleberg to provide crossing on that four-lane highway getting to the school. And then we would put another set of crosswalk flashing lights, same as what we have on John and Whitewood Avenue there. So that would allow people to push the button there and get the flashing lights to cross Lakeshore Drive there for the manor. So it would also provide protection for the school kids going to the Hillbury St. Croix School there as well. So any other comments, Mitch? Are you on the line tonight as well?
Yeah. Yes, I am, Mayor Kidd. So your comments are correct. We're looking at doing that. That project was approved by council, and we're looking at completing that project sometime this summer.
Okay, we've done before September, I assume, for the school.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, Shelley?
None that I'm seeing.
Okay. Any questions from council tonight? Okay, well, we've got a closed session. We got a motion moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Jelly. Be resolved that council agree to convene in closed session at 6:40, a minute or two here, to discuss the following matters. A, the adoption of the December 15th, 2020 closed session minutes. B, under section 239(2)D of the Municipal Act 2001, the labor relations or employee negotiations regarding COVID staffing update. And item C, under section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act, consideration to be given to the position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations regarding the New Lisbon Marina. So that's moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Jelly. So if there any opposed to that motion, we will consider that carried. And we'll thank the public for joining in tonight, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. And